Hey everyone, welcome back to Immediate Movie Reactions. I am here after seeing The Substance. This is a Coralie Farge, I believe her name is pronounced. She's a French director. And as I talked about with my review on Never Let Go and Alexander Aja, there is this wave of French movies that's been going for a while now that is incredibly violent and brutal and gory. And this movie keeps it up. It stars Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley. And Demi Moore, the premise of this, god damn it, is that Demi Moore is old, right? So of course she's not beautiful. She's past her prime. She's an actor who everybody is moving on from. Dennis Quaid plays a satire, a parody. I don't know. Everyone in this movie that is not Demi Moore, and maybe even Demi Moore, is just a parody of something, an overblown satire. You may get from my tone that I did not enjoy this movie. You would be absolutely correct in that assumption. Dennis Quaid plays a producer whose name is Harvey, and guess what? He's an asshole. Surprise! That's about the level of creativity and intelligence in this movie. Demi Moore, she's past her prime. Let's acknowledge that she has been and is still one of the most beautiful women in the world. It's kind of like that bit in Wonder Woman where they put the glasses on Gal Gadot and the assistant or whatever says, "Oh yeah, put a pair of spectacles," and suddenly she's not the most beautiful woman in the world. And that's kind of what they do here, is that because she's in her 50s or maybe 50, whatever, they establish how old she is, that she's now incredibly gorgeous. And by the way, she's naked so much in this movie, like so incredibly naked, along with Margaret Qualley. And at first I thought, okay, the nudity kind of fits, right? It's all about this body humor, oh my god, body horror. It's about making us uncomfortable. It's about forcing us to see something that maybe we don't want to see. But I'm sorry, Demi Moore is gorgeous still, no matter what, and Margaret Qualley is as well. And by the time they continue to use the nudity, it just becomes, again, another parody of itself. It becomes obnoxious. This movie is ponderous and it is boring. It starts out so well. The first scenes of body horror. So I'm going to back up a little bit here. So the premise of this is that Demi Moore gets the substance that allows her to give birth to a fully grown Margaret Qualley, who, by the way, I'm giving up on thinking that she's a good actor, because she's kind of like the James Franco of actors, where like the female version, where they're either a really bad good actor or really good bad actor. And it's really hard to tell, because other than Maid, everything she's been in so far that I've seen has been absolutely garbage. And I don't want her. I don't want to see anything with her again. And so oh my god. So there's this substance, and it lets Demi Moore give birth, because she's been, let go by her company. She's a fitness guru or an actor. They both, I don't know. They don't really establish any of that background, because character doesn't matter in this. Development doesn't matter in this. It's really just about kind of being gross for a while. And I think if you're a body horror fan, this is very mid. It's very, by the end, it's kind of a Cronenberg Videodrome maybe sort of thing, even though James Woods was way more entertaining. And was it James Woods? Now I forget who that was. Anyway, this movie. So Demi Moore gives birth through her back to Margaret Qualley, who then can be young for 7 days and then has to switch back. And if you don't switch back, then bad things happen. And guess what happens? Demi Moore starts to get old, because Margaret Qualley wants to stay young, and they're the same person, but they're not the same person. Sometimes they have the same memories and sometimes they don't. And they establish rules, but then they don't follow them. And especially toward the end of this movie, when it gets to the inevitable foregone conclusion that is coming, even though there is some shit that happens that you probably won't guess, but it's very silly. Like, I don't think the intention was for theaters to be laughing at this movie, and that's kind of where we were. It was a joke. And so as Qualley, whose name is Sue, like super creative, right? Sue, refuses to kind of switch back, and she starts getting more popular. And again, it's all fucking nonsense, because just because she's kind of pretty doesn't all of a sudden mean that she's going to be the most popular person in the world, which is what they kind of set up with this. Except, I'm sorry, how is she getting jobs? She doesn't have a social security card. She doesn't have any papers. She doesn't have an address. She doesn't even have a goddamn last name. And no one that is Elizabeth Sparkle's family or friends, I guess they're saying that she's all alone, comes to check on her at all, as she has this giant gaping wound. So as I was going with the body horror is, she gives birth to Quali, Sue, through her back, and then Sue has to sew her up, and you could feel the theater, like they were uncomfortable. I've complained in a few movies lately about how the practical effects, especially in movies, and not that Beetlejuice is anywhere similar, but Beetlejuice was really shit. Like, they were really terrible. And even I thought in Never Let Go, it wasn't great. It wasn't the worst, but it wasn't great. This does a really good job at the beginning. By the end, though, it's horrible. It's gimmicky. It's like Chud meets the Toxic Avenger has come out. This is a trauma film at its best at the end of this movie. I can't really go into any more of this because it is just fucking nonsense. I did not like this movie. Movies that are getting a buzz like this can go, for me, one of two ways. Either it's well-deserved and it's going to pick up steam and it's going to be great, or it's going to be an absolute troll, and I thought that that's what this was. This movie was a joke. I didn't enjoy it. See it, stream it, or skip it. Obviously, skip this movie. I think that if you're a body horror fan, if you're a cosmic horror fan, then you're going to kind of enjoy the beginning of it, but then by the end, it's just going to be silly. I think if you are a psychological horror, this movie doesn't get enough into the actual psychology of Demi Moore and, her wanting to still be young and all that. There's so much they could have done with this instead of just copping out in the latter third of this movie. So anyway, yeah, skip this movie, and I am done. I can't even think about this fucking movie anymore. All right, thank you. I appreciate you all. Please like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you after the next movie.